G'day YouTube, it's Ralph here, and in today's video I'll talk about on how we can jumpstart your fat loss or your weight loss journey. Before I jump into the topic, I would just like to ask for your support, guys. If you can just like this video, also subscribe to my channel, and also click the notification bell so you guys will be informed on my future videos. And if you guys have some friends that are interested in listening to weight loss topics or just improving our health, please share this video so that we could spread awareness on making people healthy. So enough about me, let's jump into the topic on how we can jumpstart your weight loss or your fat loss journey. So I did write up some ideas here on how we can actually start your weight loss or fat loss journey. I won't really go into the technical side because I've already talked about on how we can actually lose weight or fat just by simply tracking our calories and following the thermodynamics law. So if you guys haven't watched that video, I'll just put that link in the description tab so you guys can watch it, as I talked about on the importance of counting macros and counting calories in order for us to achieve the body that we're trying to hit. And now let's jump into the topic. Alright, so the first thing I wanted to talk about is taking ownership or taking full responsibility. As going into the journey of losing weight or fat is taking full responsibility of our choices, actions, and our outcome. We won't be able to change ourselves physically and mentally if we're not taking ownership or responsibility with these factors. What I mean by that is if we take ownership in our lives, we stop making excuses about external factors why we are failing to do what is required for us to lose weight. And as soon as we blame other things or other people on why we're not achieving the goals that we set for ourselves in terms of like losing fat or weight, we are handing that control to someone else or something else. That's what makes people stuck in their weight loss or fat loss journey. By being honest with ourselves, no matter what happens to our weight loss or fat loss journey, we are in charge on how we respond to our current circumstances. The examples that I could provide is that first, removing all the self-limiting beliefs that you instill in your head. I've already talked about this in my previous video. As when we say to ourselves that we can't have discipline, swap that word with something that how you can achieve discipline in your life by learning to say no to things that won't lead us to the goals of losing fat or losing weight. Instead of like procrastinating, let's say on prepping our meals ahead of time, we have to tell ourselves that prepping our meals ahead of time will make the journey easier, as we are actually reducing the friction onto adhere with our diet plans. That's where the meal prepping actually get us on track in terms of like tracking our calories, and also we'll stop making excuses that we're eating the wrong things on our diet. So that's the first example or behavior that I want you guys to practice, is practice by being honest with yourself or taking ownership. The next one that I wanted to share is basically, I know this sounds cheesy, but it actually works. And this method is by writing our goals. So this is often misunderstood as people find it silly to write their weight loss or fat loss goals. But most people don't understand that this habit isn't just about writing a meaningless goal in a piece of paper. We're actually writing a contract or a commitment to ourselves that we have to meet a certain goal on a certain deadline. So let's say we wanted to lose 10 kilograms in the next 12 or 14 weeks. If we don't have a deadline, we tend to drift off. It's like sailing a ship without a map. We're just gonna drift off away to the destination we're trying to reach. It's the same thing with writing up our weight loss or fat loss goals on when is the deadline we're gonna achieve that. That reinforces our mindset to be more strict and rigid and following all the things that is necessary to meet that deadline. The example that I can provide is, let's say if we go to work, we just don't show up at work because we feel like coming into work. That's not how it works, right? I mean, no pun intended with that one. But what I was trying to say is that when we come into work or just coming into our class, there's a schedule that we have to follow. Without that schedule, we're actually not gonna show up on a certain time. And without that schedule, we're just going to basically randomly show up on a random time. Sometimes we won't even like coming into a certain schedule. So it's the same thing with writing up our goals. If we don't write up our goals or that contract that we promised to ourselves, we're just gonna drift away and we won't plan anything to help ourselves on achieving that weight loss or fat loss goals. I really encourage you guys to write up your goal. When it's a deadline when you wanted to hit your goal. Like in my case, if I wanted to drop 5 kilograms after my bulk, I'll just program my resistance training and my meal plans for the next 12 to 14 or sometimes 16 weeks. I think the longest that I've done is 20 weeks, but that was really hard. So 12 to 16 weeks is okay, and I'll create like a calorie deficit that would cater according to my TDE, and then I'll adjust every week. That actually enforces my behavior to adhere to the schedule, and in that way I'll be able to achieve the goal that I'm trying to hit. So write your goals down. It does really help on achieving that results that you're trying to achieve. The next one that I can talk about is we have to learn about nutrition, exercise, and recovery, as all these things go hand in hand. I know I've been talking mostly about mindset, psychology, on how to adhere with our diets, basically creating that governor in our head to be more disciplined. But obviously we have to learn about what we're trying to tackle into in order for us to achieve results. So there's a lot of information out there in the web that we can learn about exercise, nutrition. These things will teach us on the fundamentals of how we take care of our body, what actually works in terms of like resistance training or cardiovascular exercises. We actually find those things that will be applicable to our needs. Really depends on each person, as each individual has their own like lifestyle, beliefs, or values. Like in my case, the food that I eat is not really applicable to other people because I have a very rigid list of staples that I can't really remove in my diet, such as chicken. I do eat a lot of red meat and salmon. Those are like my protein whole foods that I have as a staple in my diet, and obviously that is just supported with other nourishing factors such as multivitamins, supplements, just other foundation that I've learned through studying nutrition. Life is ever evolving, so you have to learn. Find some time or consolidate some time on learning about nutrition, and that way you're actually gonna help yourself on achieving the result faster or on time according to the schedule that you set for yourself. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is obviously practicing discipline. Discipline is the key foundation of this journey. I'm sorry to say this, but we have to practice discipline, not just through with our nutrition, with adhering to our exercise schedule, but also in other forms of our lives. We all do have forms of discipline. Like let's say if we're coming into work and we do what we are asked to do without any questions, that's actually a form of discipline. We come into work at the right time, we do all the necessary things to meet our job description, because if you don't have discipline, you're just gonna end up doing other silly things that doesn't line up with your job title. So we all do have forms of discipline. We just have to keep practicing it on other aspects of our lives. And what's good about discipline is that it rubs off on your other parts of your lives. Like let's say just being disciplined with your nutrition, being disciplined on making or finding some time on your exercise schedule, as discipline is always the bridge from what we desire to the reality. Discipline is basically a process of doing things whether you're feeling it or not. You'll stick into the process. So you have to keep practicing that each day, and it's like a muscle. It builds up each day, and you won't notice it that you're actually being rigid and consistent with different aspects in your life. So learn to practice discipline each day. The next one that I wanted to talk about is protecting your time and your environment. And I've talked about this multiple times in my previous videos, the time that we spent is never coming back. So we have to be diligent on using our times. So if we ever make a decision in our life, we always have to ask ourselves if that activity lines up to our long-term goal. Let's say if you find yourself doing some things like filling up your time. Perfect example is scrolling through social media, watching too much television, or just doing some mindless task, or not even doing anything at all, just blankly staring at the ceiling. You're not actually doing yourself a favor if you do that, because you're not actually maximizing your time. Because at the end of the day, we're all given 24 hours a day, and it's up to us on how we utilize that 24 hours. So be smart about it. Also, by protecting our environment, that means that we have to be intentional on how we surround ourselves with friends and also with relatives that we wanted to spend time with. Like I stated before, I'm not saying that you need to cut off people in your lives, but you have to limit your exposure to people who doesn't believe in your goals and always talks negative on things that doesn't line up with your goal. So you have to limit your time with those people, as if you keep listening to their rants or to their excuses why they are the way they are right now, you're unconsciously programming your brain while you're listening to all those negative talks, and that would actually rub off on you, and that's not really a good thing. There's still sometimes that happens to me, as I do have a day job and I come into work and I do hear people whinge about their work or how unhappy they are with their current jobs. That actually rubs me off, and I have to keep reminding myself when that happens that I should not let these people affect me, because at the end of the day, I have to protect my energy, my time, and my environment. We have to be intentional on how we surround ourselves, as the environment that we surround ourselves will influence our habits and behaviors. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is we have to be adaptive, or remove the behavior of being resistant to changes, as change always brings uncertainty, as we always cling into what is familiar. That is normal with human psychology or emotion. Unfortunately, growth only happens outside our comfort zone, and in order for us to grow, let's say trying to improve our health or just trying to achieve that body composition that we desire, we have to be flexible on finding ways when circumstances changes. As what I said before, things doesn't always go according to our plans. We have to learn how to pivot or maneuver ourselves when those roadblocks or yields happen in our lives. Let's say if we come into a certain marketplace, we're doing our grocery shopping, and food that you're trying to buy is not there. We can always find some alternatives in order for us to still meet our caloric or nutrition needs. So that's one thing that I'm talking about. In other aspects, let's say if we're just starting our weight loss or fat loss journey, the most common excuse that I hear from people is that they don't want to stick with a rigid or consistent meal prep plan. As the most common excuse that I hear from them is it's too boring, or they get easily over from food. Like what I said before, we have to be intentional with our time. And what I mean by that is that we have to approach our nutrition with intention. So in my case, I don't put any emotion with my foods, as I know that if I prioritize my emotion rather than my goals, I will most likely not achieve the goals that I set for myself. That's one thing that I wanted to talk about. We have to embrace the change or adaptive mindset. If we're trying to change our body composition, we have to change our old habits to a new good habits. So that's one thing. And with changing our behaviors or our approach, let's say with our nutrition, we don't have to do it like in one massive change. We can slowly incorporate small changes in our lives, and then just by being disciplined on slowly incorporating those small healthy habits in our lives, that will actually compound and it will grow into a massive result that could lead to achieving our goals in the longer run. That's all the things that I've just written on how we can achieve our weight loss or fat loss goals. So this is just a quick video on how we can jumpstart our weight loss journey. So if you guys like this video, don't forget to click the like button and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that. Also, if you have any friends or relatives, please do share this video to them in order for us to spread awareness on helping other people to jumpstart their weight loss journey. And also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you guys will be updated on my future videos. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. Until next time, stay fit, stay strong, and keep crushing it. Have a good one.